the diggy diggy doc, y'all. Pumping it, yes, y'all. DOC on that, that's the big kicking fresh, y'all. Letting the bass, yo, and flow with so I can.
So 2021 to 2022, the most egregious form of population control, which I think we all know what that was. This was where the Saturn opposition targeted what? Leos, Tory Lanez, Young Thug, Joe Rogan. Leo risings like Trump were literally raided by the FBI once Saturn of controlled opposition government was opposite here. This is why I track the stars, because you can literally get the episodic play-by-play. And now that Saturn is in his 7th house of open enemies, he's getting indicted. And so that lets me know it's on like Donkey Kong. And I'm so excited. This is like WWE at this point.
But that's what's cool. Someone who watches the astrology, and then someone like me who watches, because I don't understand the astrology nearly like you do. I have friends like you that I watch and try and absorb as much as I can. But, I watch the Q posts and I do the research and try and figure out what's going on. And, those of us who are awake to that, when Trump gets indicted, we're like, yes,
right.
And they're like, but you're a Trump supporter. Well, yeah. That means we're getting to the next level.
The next level, right?
Steeler just said it's all like Donkey Kong now.
Because what I learned with him is like when he loses, he still wins, and that's what people don't understand. Like the victory of Trump 2020 was not going to look the way people expect. I can bring in astrological jargon to break it down, but the main point of this is, given that this is the end of, like, this election is happening during the period where Pluto was when the Declaration of Independence was signed. So we're moving forward into an America where we didn't necessarily step into. And, if we're talking about the whole notion of one person not one person, because people think Trump is one piece, the whole administration, but if we're talking about
team, he's just the front man,
the messenger, right? If we're talking about everyone playing their own role against literal corruption and tyranny, this is what it's going to look like. And what people don't understand, people like Ye and Trump are kind of like the fall guys who use their position to expose what's happening. Because if it didn't happen to Trump like that, we wouldn't even know this kind of stuff could happen. Trust, they have genius IQ moves to reverse a lot of the shit you've already seen happen. So it is what it is.
And we don't know how much of it is just a story that's waking people up, and how much. I mean, we know that people are suffering and dying, and because we are in a war, we're in a narrative war.
Exactly, a culture war, narrative war, absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm glad you mentioned the Pluto return in the United States. It's one of the things I had on my notes. Let's talk about that. And if you want to pull up the U.S. chart and talk about that. But I think that's just fascinating. When I saw that last year, it was another one of those moments where I was like, yes. And then I was like, oh, no. Because if you remember the history, 1776 was the Declaration of Independence.
Absolutely.
1783 is when the war ended.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah, okay. And I'm like, oh no. I mean, it's such like a bittersweet thing. Like, yes, we're in it now. We're gonna win, but oh man, this is not going to be quick and easy. We're going to have to scratch and claw and get dirty.
This history is so important, and I love it because especially when using like these tools like astrology, you notice these patterns, right? And in noticing these patterns, that's what helps you connect them all together. Like I showed you with Trump and his son. And, being able to correlate them. But I also made another important video on my channel. I think it was like the death of the United States, because a lot of these things are symbolic. And it made me realize that it's not a conspiracy in the sense where it's these people in a boardroom controlling what happens. A lot of these things that happen are beyond our understanding. Like they don't just originate with us as humans. It's almost as like us as humans are playing out a divine drama.
Right.
Here. And that's why you have to
all
know
the world's a stage and we are merely players, right? That's Shakespeare. We're just playing the roles that we were assigned.
And that's why it's so important to know the characters and who's who. Let me see if I still have this. Thank God I do. So there's I think one of the most important discoveries of our time that I made are associated with Obama, but most specifically Kamala Harris. And I think Kamala Harris is very important. And everything that I say about Kamala Harris, people will think that I'm hating on her, but I say it out of respect, not maybe even for her, but like the fact that she exists and how this is working is just so fascinating. So basically, in that video that I mentioned, it's highly symbolic that Biden, quote unquote, swore on the Bible and was, in president. That was an entire act of treason. But outside of
But it
that,
was also a satanic Bible.
absolutely right. So on top of that, Pluto rules Scorpio. Pluto is destruction. Okay. The reason why this is important to understand is for him playing that character as a 12th house Scorpio sun, right? Which is literally the hidden criminal. Now, every 12th house Scorpio sun is not a hidden criminal. A 12th house Scorpio sun could be someone who really psychologically transforms people's beliefs. If they're pure, if they're not, they're fucking criminals, and they can't be trusted. Like, and now patterns that show that this could be the case should have you take it seriously. But don't worry, all this stuff is being exposed with the eclipse. Regardless, as someone ruled by Pluto, he is the 46th president, which is numerology 10, one of completion, right? 10 of completion, right? Versus Trump, which would be 9, bringing it back to the beginning, which is important because technically he's still the legitimate president. If people really don't understand it or not, still a former president.
In this community, they do for sure.
Right. But
and again, that's another crazy. I got to stop you for a second now, because
that's
another crazy connection where astrology is saying the same thing that the continuity of government and devolution people like Patel Patriot. This dude wrote, I don't know if you read this, but this dude wrote 23 articles about how Trump is still the president, how he devolved the government based on continuity of government because we were under a foreign attack. So you have this guy researching executive orders, and then you have this other guy looking at the astrology, and they're saying the same thing. That is not a coincidence.
I have chills. And it's amazing because this is why they had to this. So when you understand that they have to do what they're doing because Trump and people like him are such a threat, that's why they had to impeach him. That's why they have to indict this man, because they cannot have him win 2024, which he will again win with a landslide. It's just not debatable. So relative to, the Pluto return, you have someone ruled by Pluto in destruction, destroying the nation. It's literally what it's what he's supposed to do.
What he was born to do.
Basically, this is Obama term 3. So with that being said, what I want to show, which blew my mind utterly. No, you're straight. This was really just the Pluto return. Now Pluto is, if I pull up the current chart right now.
And so that was an interesting day too, because that was February 22nd, 2022. So 2/2/2/2/2, which is also the day, I don't know if you realize this, Peace Dealer, the day that Trump launched Truth Social.
I didn't know that. Why?
So these guys, if you're talking about Trump being a genius, which most of us have studied him, have figured out by now, but they're also geniuses about astrology. They understand all the stuff that Peace Dealer's talking about. They launch their projects according to when the stars are favorable,
because they're just so aligned. And this is what they both taught me too, both Ye and Trump, right? We know that Ye got quote unquote canceled, right? And when that happened, my prediction was once Saturn goes into Pisces, everything's going to bounce back for him. Adidas might actually reach out. That has so far happened. And the reason why this is very important is people don't understand. We saw the same thing happen to Trump. When Trump got canceled in 2020 and kicked out of office, he's a Saturn in Cancer. That's when Saturn was in Capricorn, because the opposition of Saturn is the completion of your karma. And so now once Saturn went to Aquarius and he created Truth Social, this is paralleling Ye, who's Saturn Leo. When Saturn was in Aquarius, opposite his Saturn, he completed his karma. Both of them were able to get out their contracts in ways that outsmarted both industries. And even down to Kanye getting Parler, just like Trump got Truth. And so this is still, I think, the culmination of the mystery here. Right now, Pluto is in Aquarius, so we're still kind of kicking in this. But now, this thing I'm about to show y'all is going to blow your mind. And before I show it to y'all, as you keep here, I want to just give you guys a quick astrology lesson. As you can see, the sun is in its fall in what sign? Okay, Libra. The sun represents the principle of individuality. Here in the sign of Libra, the solar principle is said to be in its fall. And just for kind of exposition on that, certain planets are at home in certain planets. The sun is at home in Leo and it's exalted in Aries, versus other signs where the planets struggle. Like Mercury is at home in Gemini, but it's in its detriment in, let's say, Sagittarius, where Sagittarius thinks more big picture, and you're putting a planet that likes to think more rationally and logically in a big picture sign. Well, the sun is in its fall in Libra. And now, if we look at what rules Libra, what planet rules Libra? Okay, Libra is ruled by Venus. All right. And what is Venus called? What is the morning star? A bright star planet, especially Venus, when visible in the east before sunrise. So it's not exclusive to Venus, but we know that. So this is how this legend makes sense in astrology. Okay. We know that a certain morning star fell into the second heaven.
Here we go.
Let's get it. Because awesome. Not a lot of people talk about this, right?
I know, it's awesome.
We know that Lucifer, which is basically just answer this, Lucifer, and this is very important, Lucifer, with a third of the angels, fell into the second heaven. Why is this important? Well, let's look at the astrology chart. If we look at the astrology chart, what we see here is the first heaven, Gemini, the third heaven, Libra, and the third heaven, Aquarius. Furthermore, who is the ruler of the second heaven? The prince of the power of the air. Well, Gemini is a mutable sign of magic, and Aquarius is a fixed sign of knowledge. Libra is the cardinal sign of power, the power of air, ruled by the morning star Venus. So we've established that people who have sun in Libras have fallen spirits, but that doesn't mean that they're fallen angels. Not every Libra is like Will Smith, who was a fallen angel, who literally played a fallen angel in the movie Hancock. Right. Like literally an angel who fell. Like, I can't make this shit up. They tell you. They literally tell you.
Yes.
And so that made me realize, okay, we know that Libra suns are fallen spirits. Well, we know that Geminis, let's type in realistically, okay, what is an angel? An angel is a messenger. Okay, cool. Who is the messenger of the zodiac? We know that Mercury, the ruler of Gemini and Virgo, is the messenger. And this is what has Gemini be the angel of the zodiac, the messenger of the zodiac. That way, this makes sense when you see this. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. So basically, I'm going to pull up the chart of Kamala Harris.
Oh, okay. Let's go. Get ready, guys. Hang on to your hats.
Powerful woman in the world. And most people don't understand that, just like Biden, what they show you in public is an act relative to who they really are. So if you share the screen, you're about to see something. Right now, we see that she has her sun in Libra. Okay. And not only does she have her sun in Libra, she has a Gemini rising. A lot of people felt that Biden would win because Kamala had her North Node here and that she was meant to become president. There is a lot of truth in that. They just don't necessarily consider the nature. Okay. We know that as a Gemini rising, she's an angel. Just like Will Smith, they're angelic beings. Not saying that people hear angel and be like, oh, they're an angel. No, she's a messenger, right? And not only is she a messenger, she's now a fallen spirit. So that means she's a fallen angel. That's just what it is. That's not me saying that she's a bad person. She is a fallen angel. That the quality of her fallen spirit is angelic. And
she happens to also be a bad person, but that's a different subject.
Well, hold on. Let's kind of dig deeper. So we know that she's a fallen angel, but what fallen angel is she? Well, let's see. We know that she has her moon in Aries. So moon in Aries is soul identity. That means that as a fallen angel, She was born on a full moon like T.I. and Cardi B, who also voted for Kamala. Interesting. But other than that, this makes her the original artist. She is the original fallen angel. So what if I told you she has something on her moon that identify Aries is identity. Moon in Aries is soul identity. You want to see what her soul identity is? Yeah. Tell me if you think this is a coincidence. She happens to have Lucifer exactly on her moon. So that means she's the fallen angel Lucifer. There's no debate about that. And why that's also very important is if you look at Barack Obama's son, you also see that Obama, who's the Aqua rising, has Lucifer on his sun with Uranus in the 7th house of relationships. What do we know Obama innovated? Uranus is everything that's different. It's queer. It's not necessarily normal. And Obama legalized same-sex marriage. He was destined to do that with Lucifer on his sun, which is very interesting because if you play Yes We Can backwards, it says thank you, Satan. Anyway, other than that, swear to God, and you can literally see it in the chart. You're telling the people yes we can, but the Aquarius is like thank you, Satan. The shit just writes itself. Barack literally means lightning falling from the ground, right? But without trying to, that might sound like a reach. Let me show you what another thing that blew my goddamn mind.
We got to do Big Mike now. I mean, shit.
Oh my God! If that's their birthday, I'm gonna respect their pronouns. But it is. So if you look at Joe Biden and you look at,
I'm the diggy doctor, pumping it, yes, y'all. DOC on that, that's the big kicking fresh.